You know, the most dominant fighter I've ever seen is Khabib. He is the most dominant fighter there's ever been in the sport. That's why he's undefeated. Now, Jon is truly undefeated. You know, I know he's got the loss and all that stuff. Do say whatever they want. He didn't lose to the fighter. He lost to the system. Okay, so you can take a look and say he hasn't truly lost either now. But I can look at his fights, and dominant wise, he's been dominant in a lot of them, but not like Khabib. Khabib is the most dominant fighter I've ever seen. But if I'm going to look and I say, well, now I've got Jon with all the championship fights that he's had, because he's had a ton, that, you know, that leads towards, hey, you know, that's not easy being the champion and defending that many times. And now if he goes and he does become the heavyweight champion, yeah, he's the greatest fighter of all time. You know, I love GSP and he's unbelievably good, but he does have a couple of losses on his records. Those were righteous losses. You know, he got those back. You know, he beat Matt Hughes twice after losing to him. You know, he beat Matt Serra, you know, in the return match, beat him bad. So he's got those wins back. Jon Jones doesn't have those.
Yeah.
Khabib doesn't have those. And so it's tough when you're looking at it to say, is the guy that has several losses better than the guy that has 0 losses? Now you can take a look at competition and everything, but again, now you can go back and I look at the end of Khabib's run. He fought the very best there was, but Jon Jones has fought the very best there was in the light heavyweights, and now moving up into the heavyweights. I don't see things changing much for him as far as his ability to dominate there either.
Yeah, the only reason why if he didn't go up to heavyweight and win the title there, I wouldn't consider him the GOAT. Only based on the fact that I've always looked at 185 and 205. They're not very strong divisions. You have your guys that are good. Don't get me wrong. 2 or 3, 4 guys at the top that are good, but they're not stacked. You know, like for Khabib to do what he did, GSP to do what they did, they always had a ton of guys for them to have to get through.
There's no doubt there's more depth at 155
and even at 70
than any weight class. No, 155's got the most. I'm just being straight up. 170 is probably next. 145 is there, but 155 is just a killer division. Has been and will continue to be. You know, there's just a ton of talented people there, and you can go and you can take the guy who's, you know, ranked 10th, and look, he can beat the top guy on a given night. So it's I agree with you as far as 155 is always, well, I'm not say always, but for the last, let's say 5, maybe 10 years, it's been the weight class that has the most depth and the best overall group of fighters that are just killers compared to any other.
Yeah, I agree. The thing what kind of is tarnishing Jon a little bit, I mean, outside of all the other outside issues, is that his last 3 fights, he didn't look great. You know? Yeah, he didn't look great. And I think if he comes in and ends up winning the title, I think then that kind of lays claim to what I had talked about before is I feel like maybe it was a motivation thing. I mean, you could say that, oh, but now he's clean and all these other things because of all the stuff from before. But it really just comes down to, I think, look, he's defended the title so many times at 205. He's probably just like, all right, another one of these guys. Now I think there's a bit of motivation. We're going to see the best Jon Jones at heavyweight. I think he doesn't have to cut weight. He's going to be able to just walk in, probably just the way he normally walks in.
Comfortable.
And he's going to have I think we're going to see the best Jon Jones we probably have seen since he first came onto the scene and won the title and just dominated guys. We may see that same guy again. And the other thing as well is that he will be, I don't know if he'll be faster than Ngannou. He won't be as strong, but he will have he'll have more tools, more weapons, things that he will use than Ngannou. He can use his wrestling. He can use his agility and his willingness to go ahead and do things that most people would never do in the heavyweight division. You know, the spinning back elbows, the up kicks, those are all things that not a lot of heavyweights can do, and definitely do it with speed and pace and power the way that he does. You know, so it makes it for a fun fight. Like that's why I was saying the Ngannou fight interests me. The Stipe one does not. you know, it's just, I think it just,
I like both of them.
I like both of them. I'm just saying.
I like both of them. I'll take either of those matchups are great for me.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it kind of like took me a little while to admit. I'm like, yeah, the guy's been good. He is good. But I have those three guys in that conversation: GSP, him, and Khabib. You know, I would like, obviously, I think everyone, including myself, would like to have seen Khabib go longer, because there are still guys in that conversation where he never had fought, and that's the one thing I'm like, you know, I would have liked you fight. I would like to have seen you fight. What's it called? Charles Oliveira, beat him, you know, fight maybe even now that Chandler's on the scene, fight Chandler, you know. Who else is in that top rankings, Dave, in terms of the 55 pounders?
You just want to see him put a stamp on it.
Well, he's already beat Dustin. He's already beat Justin. I'd like to see him fight Charles.
Beat Connor.
You know, he never fought Tony. You know, like we've had this conversation about.
They only booked it 5 times.
Yeah, I know.